Hello and welcome to Finding Joy Live. I am so glad you're here with me today. I feel like we have these amazing opportunities to be together, and that doesn't happen all the time, right? That's not something that just happens in your life. You have to make that happen. So I'm truly appreciative that you're taking the time to be here with me today, and that this matters, right? This really matters. How we perceive our circumstances, how we feel about our lives is giant. It's giant. So freedom is super important. And we don't talk about that very often, but this is a time of year that we really get to talk about what is freedom and what does it feel like and how do I participate in it and what's my life like in a world where I really believe that I have that freedom that can really only come from inside, right? Because we're living in the world, we're living in this world, and the world has rules, right? And whether you want to follow them and they feel natural for you, or you don't want to follow them, there's always going to be some sort of resistance in it. There's always going to be somebody who says the wrong thing to you. And you can let that uh, box you in. You can let you feel trapped when you've taken on responsibilities that you go like, oh, I didn't think I'd be doing it this long. Or when you hear somebody say an opinion that you feel like that is not at all the right thing. That is not how I want the world to be, right? So whatever it is, whether it's the outside world impacting your sense of freedom, or it's really even just our internal world where we wake up in the morning and we go like, I don't know. It's not all that great. It's just not all that great. It's good. It's fine. It's fine. There's nothing wrong, right? There's nice things. There's pools and greenery and it's all nice, right? But not free. But not absolutely tuned in, tapped in, wahooing down the canyon free, right? So how do we get there? That always reminds me of whenever I talk about it like that. It always reminds me of when I was a kid, which was a little while ago. Um, there were no laws telling us we had to stay in the vehicle, so we were always sort of hanging off of pickup trucks and riding on the fronts of the cars in neighborhoods and things like that. And nobody really said like you shouldn't do that because people get killed that way, right? So there was this sense of like freedom and air through your hair, you know that feeling, that sort of. Well, today I want to talk to you about one thing that stands between you and that feeling. And it's only one thing. I'm going to be talking about five secrets to being able to cultivate this feeling, being able to tap into our abundance, being able to really get there over and over and over again. And so I'm going to be talking about those five things on the masterclass, which actually I will just put these links up now so that you can see them. Donnalynn.today in your browser will take you directly to it, right? It's just a way for me to be able to tell you to go to it, and you type it in and it like comes up like that. So you don't need the long URL there. But you should do it. You should come and see, especially if you feel like, oh, I really relate to this one, then you're totally going to relate to the five, right? So, okay, I'm going to put this one away so I don't feel distracted. There we go. All right, so let's talk about one thing that stands in your way. It's your identity. It's your identity. It's how you see yourself within the context of your surroundings. So I'll give you an example. I recently moved, and when I moved, I lived in the Northeast for for a really long time. For most of my life on Earth, I lived in the Northeast. of the US. And there's a certain identity that goes with that, right? There's a certain way that my people saw me. They saw me as a New Yorker, or they saw me as someone who likes the country in Massachusetts, or they saw me as somebody who drives around into Ohio, or, right? So there were these ways that people see me, and they identify me with those spaces. And when I went to move, I didn't think one thing about that. I thought, oh, well, I just want to pick something that my life had changed so drastically, right? I wanted to try to find what fits me now, what fits this new me that is being brought into the world. And in my circumstances at that time, I didn't really have a choice. Like, all this stuff happened, and I just was different. My life was completely different, in what felt like a heartbeat, right? But for you, it might be something that has taken some time, right? So here I am in this scenario, and I'm like, well, I like warm weather and I really don't like cold weather. So let me make a step. And when I said that to my people who love me, who want me to be happy and whole and who they know, right? When I said that, they said, you don't want to move there. That's not where people like us move. You can't move there. And I felt that. I was attached to that identity, right? I felt it. I knew that they felt it. That was something. That was really big. But also, I knew that when they said it, there was a little part of me that believed that believed, people like me, who I didn't even know I was identifying with people like me, right? But people like me, we go places like X, Y, and Z. We don't go to these other places. So interesting, right? Because I have traveled the world and I have never once thought, this isn't for me, right? I've thought, oh, isn't this interesting? Isn't this fun? Isn't this different? But when you say, I'm going to move someplace, right? And that's what you do when you tune in and you say, I want something new in my life. I want to go to different movies. I want to wake up in a different mood. I want to reach for some achievement that I've never achieved before. I want to write a book. I want to sing a song. I want to have a different level of clientele, whatever it is, right? I want to see myself differently. When you do that, then it's super hard for your community to stick with you. In fact, they can't, because they know you. And unfortunately, who you are right now is who you became, right? So it's who they expect to show up every day or every time they see you. So that identity, it's created within us, it's solidified by the people around us. Then we see that it's solidified, and we go like, oh, they think that I am somebody who, whatever, right? I'm somebody who teaches yoga classes. I'm not somebody who writes books. Or I'm somebody who works in corporate America. I'm not somebody who goes out on their own. Or I'm somebody who's creative. I couldn't possibly have big accounts in my practice, right? Whatever it is, when you're in that situation and they see you that way, then you start to see you that way. And those little dreams of yours, they can die. They can die a terrible death in your understanding of your identity. So, one of the big things we're going to talk about on this masterclass that I really hope you take the time to attend. It's only an hour long. It's at noon tomorrow. Just take a few minutes and go and do that, because what we're going to talk about there is not just what is the problem, right? So how do I do that? How do I fix that? What do I do about that? Like, okay, that's my reality. I feel that when I wake up in the morning and I go to have something different for breakfast and my spouse is like, what are you doing? You don't eat that. That's not what we eat in this household, or that's not what you have chosen in the past. I think so much about this moment. A long time ago, I had a boyfriend who who felt like loving me was knowing the choices I've made, who I was, right? And I felt entirely trapped by it, right? So I would say, oh, I don't like that. And then the next time we would go out to eat, right? If we were out to eat or something, and the next time we go out to eat, I would say, let me look at the menu. Maybe I'll have this. And he'd say, no, no, you don't like that. And I would feel like, how do you know? I am becoming. I I don't know if I like it. I know that I didn't like it in the past, but today is a new day and I get to be a new person and I get to make those choices. Some of them so simple and some of them so giant that they change the trajectory of your life. I get to make those choices. You get to make those choices for you, right? So definitely go and let's talk about the other 5 secrets, okay? Because the only way to get to that place is to do very specific work in a very specific order. And when you do that, right, then you have this framework that works over and over and over and over again. And you can practice it over and over and over and over again. And suddenly it's not so hard to have whatever you want on your bagel. And suddenly it's not so hard to walk into a new potential account and say, I think you should buy something from me, right? And suddenly it's not so hard to go live to say hi to you guys, right? Suddenly we find that inner confidence, that inner alignment, that inner knowing, that space inside of us that embodies freedom, that is freedom in the body, right? So I cannot wait to see you there. I do hope you take a moment to go do it. Donnalynn.today will take you directly to it. And it's tomorrow. It's an encore performance and it's tomorrow. So I can't wait to see you there. And I know that you are going to get a lot out of it, particularly if you relate to the things I'm talking about right here, then this is absolutely for you. All right. I will see you guys then. Bye.